The difference between a mix and an album, well, it's interesting because when I got asked to do DJ Kicks, I thought of it as an album rather than a DJ mix. An album for DJ Kicks is something that's set in stone and is out there being promoted as a piece of work. So it's a very different prospect than putting together a quick mix. It's actually quite complicated. It's a little more complex than doing a straight up DJ mix because you can use whatever you want. And a little different from an album because if there's no track that fits between these two, you just build it. So as far as techniques for putting the mix together go, most of the mix and matching, like quickly trying songs with another, was done in Ableton Live and on CDJs. The actual composition and creation of the final mix was done in Logic. So I sort of started out with sections, tempo-related sections. Let's say the whole mix was divided into 4 acts, let's say. There's the intro section, how that builds into part 2. And I would just start I'd have a number of tracks with all the possible songs layered. And I'd sort of prepare them tempo-wise and pitch-wise. And then import them into Logic and then say, okay, this fits here. I need to put some kind of effect at the end of this song so that it trails off into the next one in a cool way. So there's a bit of manipulation there. It's not what I would do live in a club. I mean, you have some flexibility when you're doing that live, but you can really craft something using Logic. It's a bit more of a sculptor kind of process. What was my first show like? Okay, so when I was a very tight mixer because I worked in a record store. So you'd have to make the song sound as good as you could, and you're like slinging vinyl to people. So when it came to my first ever show, is actually with a DJ called Pesce, a dear friend of mine too. And he was there sort of encouraging me, but I'm playing after him or before him. So it's quite intimidating. And I remember, so you're playing dub plates and vinyl. There's no room for error at all. And I completed my first mix. It was flawless, and I was so relieved that I turned to him and I was like, that was good, wasn't it? And then I picked up the needle of the record that was playing. So I'd forgotten which one I'd played first. I looked at him, we saw each other's face, and I dropped the needle gently right back on beat. And it was seamless. So it just sounded like I did a quick crossfade of 1, 2, 3, bang, back in again, and nobody noticed. And I never did that again. I still remember the look on his face too. Like, it went, it's classic. Azimuth was named Azimuth because it sounded cool, and it's that simple. So there's some deep meanings behind some, and there's just what would look nice. But tracks like the collaboration I did with Pinch, which is on the album, that's called M25 FM. And the M25 is a freeway that runs all the way around London in a circle. But the M25 was built around the same time as they started having raves in England. So I thought, okay, if anything, if I could try and define that time in any way, M25 FM, like it's a radio station based on that freeway. So that's where I came up with the name for that. So, it's reflecting back to that time, to before I was making drum and bass and before there was a music called drum and bass. So I think it's pretty appropriate that song's on one of my latest works on the DJ Kicks album, because it's showing where it all began. There are moments that people will be remembered for, but there's a lot before and there's always more after. My name's Photek and I make electronic music.